The Innatist Perspective by Warren, Shelley, Aditya, and Teresa.
Krashen hypothesizes that humans have two systems to assist in learning a second language, the acquired system and the learned system. The learning acquisition hypothesis packages the two together. Acquisition is a subconscious process in which the learner is unaware of the knowledge they are gaining. This system is similar but not limited to the way a child learns their first language. According to Krashen, both children and adults possess the ability to acquire a second language. In order to acquire a second language, meaningful communication in the second language is required. This system focuses on the act of communicating rather than correctness of the language. In other words, during acquisition, the learner is unaware of the correct way to speak, or instead they are only learning to communicate. The learner is subconsciously picking up the new language. Learned system in a second language is a conscious process and a result of a formal instruction, much like what we all did in elementary school. It focuses on learning correct grammar and following the rules of the target language. The learned system results in knowledge about the language, awareness of this knowledge, and the ability to communicate about the new knowledge. Krashen believes that the learning system is less effective than the acquired system and therefore is less important.
The natural order hypothesis maintains that grammatical structures, particularly morphemes, are acquired in a predictable order. For instance, we learn she is walking before we learn she walked. The monitor hypothesis maintains that although most language is acquired, the language we have learned, along with those grammatical rules, can help the speaker self-monitor the acquired language for accuracy.
The input hypothesis, now known as the comprehension hypothesis, is Krashen's most important hypothesis because it discusses how language acquisition actually occurs. According to Krashen, we acquire a language when we understand what we hear and read. This is known as comprehensible input. Comprehensible input is explained by I plus 1. I equals a student's current level of proficiency. 1 equals the input slightly above the I level. Once a student moves from I to I plus 1, they have attained comprehensible input. And this is done by using context clues.
The effective filter hypothesis. An effective filter is a barrier a student faces that prevents the learner from acquiring a language. Regardless if there is enough input given to the student, feelings and emotional states take on an important role when a learner is acquiring a second language. If the learner is experiencing high anxiety, has low self-confidence, or low motivation, this effective filter turns on and causes the learner to block out all available input. In other words, the higher the effective filter, the lower the amount of opportunities the learner has for acquiring comprehensible input.